This is the most chilling unsolved case in history, and, although it happened a while ago now, it still remains one of the most active investigations going on today. Living with her husband Brian and 4-year-old daughter in an affluent neighborhood, she was the picture of success. But on December 12th, everything changed. At 5 p.m., Charlene went to the local shopping center with her daughter. They had just bought some tacos from Taco Bell when they returned home. But this time, they were being followed. 2 men dressed in dark clothing had trailed them from the restaurant and were approaching their house. As they were about to unlock the door, the men ran up to them and barged inside. In 1974, the seemingly quiet suburbs of California were shaken to their core by the brutal murder of a young mother named Charlene Sperry. They had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a mystery that continues to baffle investigators even today. But that wasn't the whole story. There was more to come, and this was one such case. With renewed vigor, they took another look at the evidence from the Sperry case and made a shocking discovery. It started off like any other day. This was a major breakthrough in the case and provided a wealth of new information. But it also raised a lot of questions. What happened next has become one of the most terrifying parts of the case. Now serving 26 consecutive life sentences, he's finally behind bars. But the Golden State Killer isn't just one person. It is actually a term used to describe at least 13 separate criminals who operated in California during the 1970s and 80s. This has brought a sense of closure to many families who have waited decades for justice, but it's also raised a lot of questions. And are there any other Golden State Killers out there who haven't been caught yet? These are difficult questions that may never be answered, but that hasn't stopped investigators from trying. Even after all these years, it's still one of the most chilling, unsolved mysteries in history. The Golden State Killer case is one of the most complex and disturbing in history. They questioned Brian, who told them exactly what had happened. Who knows what other secrets the past may be hiding? And, while the majority of these cases remain unsolved, there have been some recent breakthroughs. Many victims reported feeling violated, traumatized, and constantly on edge, living in fear of the next attack. There didn't seem to be any particular type of person that the killer was targeting, and the crimes spanned a wide range of ages, races, and social backgrounds. Thanks to advances in DNA technology, they've been able to link many of the crimes to one man, Joseph James DeAngelo. This has brought a sense of relief to many of the victims and their families, knowing that the man responsible is finally behind bars. This made it all the more difficult for law enforcement to track the killer, as there was no clear motive or pattern to follow. He explained how the men had taken his wife and that he had no idea where they might have gone. Between 1974 and 1986, he terrorized California, committing a series of gruesome murders, rapes and burglaries that left an entire state paralyzed with fear. But despite the horror he inflicted on so many people, he managed to evade capture for decades. The thought of someone so close to home being capable of such brutality is terrifying. It makes us wonder what other horrors may be lurking in the shadows, and how many more victims there may be. The Golden State Killer case is a chilling reminder of the evil that can lurk in the hearts of men. But despite the darkness that surrounds this case, there is also a glimmer of hope. The fact that justice was ultimately served brings a measure of comfort and reminds us that, even in the darkest of times, good can triumph over evil. The brutality of the attacks was shocking, with the killer using a variety of weapons, including firearms, knives, and blunt objects. There may always be questions that go unanswered and mysteries that remain unsolved, but thanks to the work that's been done so far, we may finally be getting closer to the truth. The relentless pursuit of the truth by law enforcement and the bravery of the victims in speaking out have ensured that this case will never be forgotten. One of the most perplexing aspects of the case is the sheer number of victims. Who knows what other secrets the past may be hiding? As we learn more about the case, we may also learn more about ourselves and the darkness that exists in the human psyche. Over a period of 12 years, the Golden State Killer is believed to have murdered at least 13 people, raped more than 50, and burglarized over 100 homes. The sheer scale of the crimes is staggering, making it all the more remarkable that it took so long to catch the perpetrator. These are important questions because the answers could hold the key to solving this case once and for all. However, the police didn't believe him. Instead, they arrested him for kidnapping and spousal abuse. Brian and Charlene struggled to fight back against the two intruders, but they were quickly overpowered. In front of her terrified parents, he carried her out to the car and drove away. This was a traumatic experience for Brian and Charlene, who were left tied up and helpless. But, unfortunately, it would only get worse. The men tied them up with electrical cords and duct tape, gagged them, and began to ransack the house. Their intent, steal as much as possible, and then escape. But something horrible happened. One of the men went into Charlene's bedroom and emerged with their 4-year-old daughter. When the police arrived at the scene, they discovered that Charlene was missing. But after 3 days of searching for Charlene without any luck, they were forced to let Brian go. And the terrible truth came out. It turned out that there was more to the story than Brian's arrest suggested. You see, it wasn't just his wife that had been taken. His daughter had also disappeared. This horrifying incident shocked the community and sparked a massive manhunt. But despite the efforts of thousands of officers, neither Charlene nor her daughter was ever found. As time went on, the case grew colder and colder, leading many people to believe that the worst had happened and that both women had been killed. In recent years, advancements in DNA technology have allowed investigators to revisit cold cases and bring new life to decades-old investigations. They found out that the DNA of the perpetrator matched the DNA of another serial killer, the infamous Golden State Killer. How could someone be linked to so many crimes? And why did it take so long to find out? Joseph James DeAngelo Jr. is one of America's most notorious serial killers. That was until 2016 when advances in DNA technology finally caught up with him. Each of them were responsible for a string of violent crimes, including murder, rape, and burglary. Thanks to advances in genetic genealogy, law enforcement officials have been able to link some of the crimes to one man, Joseph James DeAngelo. For example, what motivated someone like DeAngelo to commit such horrific acts? How did he manage to stay hidden for so long? The work that's been done so far has already led to some incredible discoveries, but it's also opened up a whole new world of possibilities. One thing is certain, though, the Golden State Killer case will continue to fascinate and terrify people for years to come. And while we may never know exactly what happened to Charlene and her daughter, the work that's being done now could bring us closer to the truth than ever before. With dozens of victims and hundreds of crime scenes, it's a tangled web of violence, deceit and terror that has kept investigators on edge for decades. But thanks to advances in DNA technology and the tireless work of law enforcement, we may finally be getting closer to the truth. These crimes were committed in various locations across California, from Sacramento to Santa Barbara, and they often involved multiple victims at once. In addition to the physical violence, the psychological impact of the crimes was equally devastating. Another puzzling aspect of the case is the apparent randomness of the victims. Despite the complexity of the case, investigators have made some significant progress in recent years. But it has also raised a lot of questions about how someone like DeAngelo could have evaded capture for so long. But it's also a testament to the power of justice, no matter how long it may take. In the end, the Golden State Killer case may never be fully solved. The discovery of Joseph James DeAngelo as the perpetrator has provided a measure of closure for many. But it's also opened up a whole new world of possibilities. The Golden State Killer case is a story that continues to unfold, and one thing is certain. The truth may be more terrifying than we ever imagined. The Golden State Killer is one of the most haunting mysteries of our time. It also raises questions about the nature of evil and whether or not it can ever truly be eradicated. Thank you for watching.